One thing, because we talked about music, and I must ask you, because this is a question that you can answer yourselves, is the first record that you ever bought, if you can remember back. And you can say, you will get asked or the first record that you downloaded. But mine wasn't very cool. It was Manhattan Transfer, Chanson d'amour. There you go. Yeah, confession time. Ray, what about you?
Well, the first record I actually ever bought wasn't for me. I'm trying to wriggle out of this one. It was for me auntie, and it was You Don't Know by Helen Shapiro.
Which goes like...
Oh, I couldn't possibly.
Oh,
I'm a drummer.
You just refused to.
He knows it. There you are, you see.
Hey, nice.
Good.
Very good.
The first record I bought for myself, I think, was I'm Your Witch Doctor by John Mayall's Blues Breakers.
Oh, that's a cool one.
Well, I was quite fortunate because I mentioned earlier my brother was 5 years older than me, so he would bring in things like the Moody Blues. Mm-hmm. He would bring in things like the James Gang, American bands like that. So he used to buy all the records, and then this is absolutely true. The first album I bought was Nicely Out of Tune by Linda Swan. That's absolutely true.
Pretty intelligent man.
It's absolutely true.
Actually, if I can just go back a little bit, the reason I never bought records was, I told you about my big family earlier on. Over the road from me lived my auntie and 3 cousins, all girls, 2 of which were older than me. And I used to be regularly dragged across on a Saturday afternoon to practice jiving with them before they went out on a Saturday night. So they could practice all the moves on me, right? And they had all Elvis records, all the Little Richard records, all those fantastic, brilliant early rock stuff. And that's what really turned me on. But I didn't have my own record player. I used to go and listen to them.
What was it like for you to, when you getting that initial success, particularly with Linda Swan? I know you were in lots of bands before then, but when you get to the stage where you actually hear your music on the radio,
first time it ever happened. But I wasn't lots of other bands, but it was actually the beginnings of Linda Swan. So we gradually amalgamated all these people together. But the first time we ever heard ourselves on the radio, we were travelling somewhere in Wales in the van, and we stopped the van and got out and danced.
Well, that was
quite embarrassing, really, but we were excited. You know.
Did people treat you differently in the Northeast?
Oh yeah, for a while. I mean, I think there was about a 3-week period in 1971 where we were the biggest band in Britain. It was only about 3 weeks, and it was very peculiar. We came up here and we did a record signing thing at Windows with Fog in the Tyne when that came out, and that record was huge. I mean, we didn't realise how big it was. It was a bit like, well, it was the biggest selling album of 1971 by a British act that year. There was only one album sold more than that, and it was Sound of Silence or something. You know, it was an American record. And we just didn't realise how big it was. You know, we used to turn up at gigs and think, about 5 o'clock on a Saturday playing somewhere, and there'd be a queue, and we'd think, oh, there must be a football game on us. And then we realised it was for us. You know, we never realised it. It was very odd for a while, and for a very short period of time, it was a bit scary. And then we just got used to it.
How do you think, Ed, when it comes to how people respond to your plays, when you've got something that's on at the Customs House and you've got a very strong relationship with the Customs House, they're big supporters of yours and vice versa, is it a different experience for you as a writer when you're there and it's having a Northeast airing as opposed to having an Australian airing or a London airing? Does it feel different?
Well, obviously you're always happy when our people are laughing, but as I say, it's wonderful when you take the work to other parts of the world. You know, Dirty Dustin's it's just come back. Well, it's been to Australia. It's going back there next year and continue going. Let's talk about America, that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's great when our work has a resonance throughout the rest of the world, because I always think ordinary people, working people, are the same throughout all over the world. They have the same aspirations.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have the same problems. They have the same outlook in life, because they want to, because we write comedy, they want a good laugh. They want to come to the theatre and have a good laugh. And so it's great when you go to Glasgow and there's a row of about 11 passing the vodka along. All these women passing the vodka along. And then their place gets mentioned, because we do sort of sort of related to local things. And they're cheering and things. You know, now, if you went to see Shakespeare, people say, oh, no, darling, don't do that. Whereas with our plays, we're happy when people get involved. It's great. It's like going to a gig. You come out of that gig and you feel great. And that's what it's like going to the plays. You know?
But aren't there some regional variations? Like, if you talk about comedy, and you write comedy, as you say, you and Trevor. Ray, you've worked with a lot of great comics. As a producer, you've worked with lots of great comics, haven't you? North East comics in particular, like Bobby Pattinson and people like that, and Brendan Healy. Now, I don't know if anybody in the audience has been to see a North East comic like Bobby Pattinson or Bobby Knoxall or Brendan Healy or any of those characters like them. But don't you think that there is something that is peculiar to the North East, that you're more likely to get, that they're going to succeed more, or more likely to succeed and get a laugh, aren't they, in the North East than playing Vegas, in the same way that you wouldn't have American comics necessarily making it big in Sacriston Workmen's Club? You know, it just wouldn't, some things don't translate.
Some things don't translate, you're right, and most of those people you've talked about do basically tailor their comedy for this region. But I mean, somebody like Brendan, I think, you know, Brendan's a classic example. He's the sort of bloke that he's the only one of the northeastern comedians I know, really, that has got what Bobby Thompson had, in as much as he can hear the same joke and he can be laughing at it 100 times. Because it's the way he tells them. It's just something about his body language, and, you know, it just works for me. But I think of all of the comedians I've seen in the northeast of England, of our homegrown ones, the one I do think that could have succeeded just about anywhere is Alan Fox. I think because he's got a very smooth, almost a metropolitan approach to what he does. And it's quite gentle, and it's funny, and you could translate that to anywhere. But people like Bobby Pattinson and Alan Snell, and that, they're very northeastern. I
mentioned earlier that there are lots of ways that you can get involved in this project, the Memory Bank. And if you go downstairs to where the memory booth is, you will be asked lots of questions. And one of the questions that is asked, and I might be paraphrasing it slightly, but it's your happiest memory of Newcastle, which is, it's a massive, massive question. But I know you've been in the booth already, so you must have given it some thought. What is your happiest memory of Newcastle?
Well, I mean, I'm 50 years old. I've lived on...
Never.
I am.
As the audience were thinking, and I'm
going on 70. I tell you, you don't want it to get on about me knee. Terrible. And my other body parts falling off.
Let's leave it. It's a lunchtime
audience. Yeah, I've lived on Tyneside for 50 years, and I agree with what Ray said before, right? I mean, this is that it's not to be parochial. For instance, earlier in this year, you know, you have to kick the doors down. We had a play on called Maggie's End in London, just off the West End. And the national press are very, very difficult unless something is happening at the nationally established theatres. So I went into time-out, and I didn't leave until somebody came down. So I was a bit of an embarrassment, but I said, look, I'm not leaving here until somebody comes down. And anyway, they give me they came down, and we got publicity, and they give us a great review. They actually got somebody along to review it, and that's the way you've got to do it. So, anyway, in a roundabout way, it's a bit more comfortable in the Northeast for us because we're from the Northeast, but it's harder to make your mark externally, if you like. But that's what I love about the Northeast, because they're our people, and I have to say, I love everything about the Northeast. Most things are just fantastic. But I have to say that when we played Dirty Dustin the first time at the Theatre Royal, and it sold out twice, it's had 2 runs, and it sold out about whatever it was, 8,000-9,000 people came. And people were getting buses from all over the region to come and see it, and they were having a ball. That has to be a fantastic professional memory. You know, it's just a fantastic memory, that.
Really?
Well, I'm trying to think of one particular thing, but there's lots and lots for me. Professionally, there's loads, you know, like playing at St James's Park was pretty damn good. Yeah. I played there 3 times,
you know. As a musician?
3 times I played St James's Park.
Were you?
No, once I was playing the drums, supporting Bob Dylan, and twice I played football.
You did play football?
I did. I was pretty crap, it has to be said, but it was absolutely fantastic, and that was probably one of the high spots. We played at Frankie Clark's Testimonial, and Mark and MacDonald. I remember I came into our recording company offices in London, and the receptionist girl said, there's somebody called Malcolm MacDonald been on the phone for you, and I stood rooted to the spot. I said, pardon? There's a bloke called Malcolm MacDonald. I said, what do you mean a bloke? He says, Super Mac. Anyway, it turned out the one that had put a daft game on before Frankie Clark's testimonial, just for the general entertainment of the population, while they were waiting for the real game. And they said, would you be prepared in putting together a Newcastle musicians team against a team of Newcastle veterans? And of course we were like, absolutely. So we got a team together, and there was myself, and there was Brian Johnson from AC/DC, and there was Billy Mitchell, who was at Lindisfarne later on, and some of the other lads from various bands. And we were playing a team with Jackie Milburn, Jack Charlton, Willie McFall, and we were just absolutely thunderstruck. When it came, and Malcolm MacDonald was a ref, and they gave us every opportunity under the sun to walk all over them, and we were just so like thunderstruck with them, with the glory of it all, to be playing on St James's Park turf, that we got beat 1-0. Well, actually, I remember Jackie Milburn saying to me, he said, there you are, son, and he gave us the ball, and I fell over it. And then afterwards they took us out for a night out, and they had all beautiful little, The thing is, it's a well-known fact. Most people in music want to be footballers, and most people in football want to be musicians. And we were just completely starstruck. And they gave us nice little pens with our names on, and everything was fantastic. So that was probably it.
That was probably it. Okay, favourite place, and you can go for somewhere that no longer exists if you wish, or somewhere that's still, around now. Favourite place in Newcastle, Ed?
Well, again, it has to be, when I was a kid, my mum used to, on a Friday, we used to go shopping to the Co-op in Newgate Street. And we used to stand waiting for the bus, and the Theatre Royal was over, and I always loved the Theatre Royal. But the Theatre Royal's fantastic, and obviously St James's Park as well. But I love the street. We park at the bottom of Grey Street when we're going to see shows at the Theatre Royal, and we walk up Grey Street. Mm-hmm. And you've got Grey's Monument at the top, and that is... There's just nothing like that. It's just a fantastic, fantastic street, and the architecture is beautiful. So that whole area would be my favourite place.
Ray?
I'm agreeing with him. I'm just nodding, agreeing with him. Yeah, I love the city. I love the city centre. Obviously, I've got a particular liking for the pubs. I love the Crown Prasada. I love the Bridge Hotel. I think actually the Bacchus have done a very nice job of that one. It was a new one.
Duke's of Cannibal.
Yeah, so all nice pubs and with good crack, good crack.
And they're kind of different now. The smoking ban's in place.
Yes.
You can really smell what they smell like. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, mind, for some of them. But
Smell of toilets now. Have you noticed that? Pubs smell of toilets. Or those blue things that you put in toilets. They're awful, some of them.
You still get those blue things.
Mind you, they're some of the rough pubs that I go into.
Yeah, I can imagine. They're the kind of questions that you will be asked. So there's the memory booth downstairs that you can get, the memory box that you can get involved with. It's dead easy to use. If I can use it, then anybody can. Just go in, sit down, make yourself comfy, and you'll be asked lots of questions. So you can get involved in that. There's the memory board, which is just outside here. And there are lots of little post-its with individual questions, and you can jot down your answers, and then they'll be placed on the board. And there's also on level 6 a photo bank, so you can have access to the City Library's archives and look at all these amazing images and see what memories they prompt and share them. And then that will all be part of the Open City programme at the end of October. So there's loads of ways for you to get involved and I suppose relive some happy or interesting memories. Thank you very much for being a lovely audience. Thank you to Ray Laidlaw, and thank you to Ed Waugh. Thanks for the memories.